Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. To get a PDF version of this tutorial, join our community on Patreon at patreon.com/ArielCad3D. You'll get access to our starter pack files, blueprints, transcripts, early access to our content, as well as native CAD files. You also get master course lessons that are available at our flexible tiers. So click the link in the description box below and you can join as a free member or any tiers that suit your needs. Today we're going to be designing the friction dampers. I've pulled up this image so you can see it. It works in collaboration with the leaf springs that we designed earlier on. So we've got two arms at the top, two arms at the bottom. Here is a clear picture. So it depends with the model, but basically we can have either 3 plates or 2 plates. In this case, we are only going to be designing 2 plates, and therefore we don't need to make this profile here. We'll just have straight arms, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, and this is how they are going to look like. This will be our attachment. I think this part is riveted, or they can use bolts. In this case, I believe this one is a bolt. It's secured by a bolt and a nut. But I think in our case, we're going to place rivets here. So basically the parts, we have 1 plate, 1 friction disc, and then we have this sort of gaskets in between the plates. So we can create one because they are all similar, and we'll assemble 4 of them. Then 1 friction disc, and then we are going to insert as many as possible. And then we've got 1 top plate. So that's 1, 2, 3 parts. Then we've got this part, that's 4. And the rivets. And then we have a nut and a bolt here. It depends with the model, but it can be a winged bolt. Like this one. There's a winged bolt. But we won't pay much attention to that. As you can see, there are different types. See, this one kind of looks a bit different than the other, but they all similar in function. So let's just go to CATIA. We're going to mimic this attachment here. Okay. So if you haven't watched all the other videos on chassis, you can watch this video as a standalone. It's okay if you just need to learn how to create the friction dampers. But if you want to learn how to create this entire car, we've been creating each part independently, and then we are going to create an assembly. So this is going to be a minor assembly in a big assembly. We create some parts, we create a minor assembly here, which will later on be assembled to the bigger chassis. All right, so going to CATIA, we'll start with the part design workbench. Part 1, we are going to call this the friction dampers. Friction damper. I'm going to hide these planes, and instead I'm going to insert an axis system. Find it easier to work with, and sketch the ZY axis. Cool. So we select the circle. We can do it at the center, and the diameter is going to be 110 millimeters. 110. Okay. And we're going to insert an axis here at the horizontal axis, like so. Cool. Then I'm going to select profile. This is going to be very simple. Just an inclined line and a vertical line. Make sure this one is vertical. We're going to give a dimension here of 10 millimeters because this is half the distance. And the distance between this line and the center is going to be 160. That is called the lever arm. The lever arm. So from the pivot to the end, it's going to be 160. Next, what else we want to define? Perhaps we can define the distance between this part and the center. And this is usually about 25. Let's try 20 so that the overall width is about 40. Okay, let's work with 20. We'll see if we like the outcome. And I will select the quick trim and just trim off the bottom half so that when I add corners, a corner here, which is going to be, let's try 50 millimeters or 30. So this is it. And then you're going to, of course, select your profile. Because we don't have much, we can just select it like that and mirror this using this horizontal axis. All right. Now, if you look at our images, I'm using this. So we have this side is going to be similar with the bottom half. We're not going to have 3. So we created this arm and we have holes where the rivets are going through. And those holes are going to be 5 millimeters in diameter. So I will create one here. Give it a diameter that is 5. I also want to define, say, the distance between the center and this part. Let's give it 8. And then the distance between this and the center, we're going to give it 5. Okay. Then another circle here, like the center aligns with the horizontal axis. The diameter is the same. It's 5 millimeters. And then the distance between the center and this center, pull up, right click and select the horizontal measure. It's going to be 10 millimeters. So we've got 8 and then 10. Then the distance between this and this is 5. You can select this one and just mirror it. So when you're creating something, you want to make sure that you get these measurements that will help you in creating the other part, this part. When you create this part, you want to know the spacing between these holes. You want them to match. And it's really important for you to know the distance between this edge and where you have your first holes, the distance between them, the distance between this one and this one. All right. So you have a workflow that is not very stressful. All right. We've got, I think we've defined everything. That's pretty much it for the first disc plate. I believe we've defined it. Where is our diameter? It's right here. But you can see it. It's 110. This one. Okay, you're going to exit the workbench. The width should be about 5 millimeters. Some of them appear thicker than the other, and as you can see, this one quite looks large, like it belongs to a lorry or something. So it depends on the size, but the average, I believe we should go with about 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters. But for the friction disc, for the gasket disc, it's about 10 millimeters. It's thicker in between this one. So this is about 5, then I'll have 10, 5, 10, 5, 10, like that. Cool. That is a pad. Now, this we're saying 5. Yeah, that's decent. Or we can give it a material instead, right? Just go ahead with the material. I want the plate to be the same color as aluminum. Maybe. And then the gaskets, will give them the same color, the same dark red. Yeah, let's leave it at that for now. So normally you can create other bodies here and create the other parts. But I wanted to teach you sort of the assembly process. So I'm thinking we do different parts and then we create an assembly. So save your work. I'm going to come here and save. Okay. Parts of the Alfa Romeo. Friction damper. And I want to call it the friction damper disc plate because the rest will also have the same first part of the friction damper disc plate. I'll call that the disc plate. Cool. We can create now a new part design. We call this the friction damper gasket. And I think there's something we didn't do on the initial one. Hold on. The initial one, it's supposed to have it's supposed to have a hole right here. So if we can go back to sketch 1, it's a simple adjustment. Instead of creating an extra feature, you can just add a hole there, which is going to be 10 millimeters in diameter. I don't know. Let's leave it at 10 millimeters for now. We can adjust it later if needs be. Okay, save. Don't forget to save. Now to the new. I'm gonna have to close it. The new part. Once again, hide and insert an axis system. Okay, we sketch the same ZY plane. Doesn't really matter actually, you can sketch any, but the ZY plane. And that's going to be the easiest one here because it's just a circular plate with the same diameter, 110. Or in this case, yeah, let's give it 110 and a hole of 10 millimeters. 10. Okay. You know, this doesn't really look practical to me. We don't want it to be too large. Let's work with 10. I will check it once we are making the assembly. We'll determine if that's sufficient. So that's 10. And we said we are going to give this double the width. So it will be 10 millimeters. And we give it a material which is dark red. Okay, We have the lever arm, the lever plate. We have the gasket. Now we need the outer one. So we've got the gasket, the lever plate. We need this outer one, and it's on both sides. So practically it's a lesser diameter, and there's not really a guideline on how to do it. Each company does it differently. You can see here. You can see this one. So we create something similar to this. Cool. All right. And the width from where we're starting to where we are ending can be 10 millimeters or 8 to 10 millimeters. All right. So we save this one. Friction damper gasket. On to the next. A new part. This is a friction damper outer plate. We can call it the outer plate. Same routine. For this case, I'm going to use the shaft. If you're in surface, it's the revolute, right? So I'll sketch the ZY plane. And I'll just create the quarter profile. Let's make it like this. Horizontal. Then down. Then we can have sort of like this. We can have a profile like that. And the overall diameter is the distance between this line and this line. The other one was 110, and therefore I'm going to make this about 90. It can be 90 or 80. Let's make it 80. That's 80. And then you can freestyle the rest. You're free to create something of your own. So I'll give this 10 millimeters. I'll give this 10 millimeters. Five. Actually, I don't want this to be very large. Can be 5. And then I wanted this is so far this is 20. And I said the overall should be about 10. So that's definitely too wide. That's too wide. Let's reduce this. Said it should be about 5 to 10. So we are over our limits. I'm going to define the distance between this line and the vertical axis. That's not it. This line and vertical axis, the overall width, to be, we're gonna have to make it about 20, not 10. It's gonna have to be 20. Okay. Then you can use the fillet afterwards, but I'm gonna insert this into the sketch. I want this part to be a corner like that. Let me check the reference images. So we've got that section and this section. and this section. So this is cornered and this is cornered. Okay, so that means we can delete. Let me undo that. Let me undo that and just no. I will leave it, but make it less. Make this about 2 millimeters. And then this one really close to that, like so. So we've got 5, 5, that's 10. Add a corner here. Don't like the way it's looking, but something like that. Yeah, so I've added a corner here, here, and we can standardize this. This is 3. This is 2. 3, 2. This is about 4. And you might want to know the distance here. I think that's where I'm going wrong, because I've made it very, very, very large. So I've made it 15. So we've got 15, and then we've got that curve. It goes up, that curve, and the rim. To keep the flow, I will add very subtle 1 millimeter corner there. So that it's all flowy. And for your sake, we can also measure this distance, which is about 3 millimeters, so that we have a standardized design. So the overall width is 20. Let me zoom in so you can see. We've got 15, 5, 2, and this distance is 5. Again here we've got 4, 1, 1. This distance is 5. This distance is 2 millimeters. And this distance is 3 millimeters. We're going to close it and use, add thickness to the wall, hollow it. So I will take a line and close it. Go back to normal view. From this point, zoom in to this point. That's not right. Yeah, I've made a mistake here. You can just use quick trim. Snap that one off. What did I do? Once again, it's a line from this point to the center. My God. A line from the center to this point. Okay, that's time the charm. So we've got that, and I will make an axis here. No, I want to create a different axis here. Exit. Create a shaft. 360 degrees. Select OK. And then we want to hollow it out using shell. We want to remove this face and give it an inside diameter of 5. We have to check this because the way we've created those tiny corners, they might not work. Yeah, kind of anticipated that. Let's try 2 millimeters. 2 millimeters. And this is going to be also DS dark red. That's fine by me. Okay, let's assume that's ours. There's one thing that we didn't create. We're going to create it after the fact, and that's a hole. ZX plane and create a hole similar to the one we created in the others. So for now it's 10 millimeters. As I said, we can adjust if we want, no problem at all. 10 millimeters. Exit. Create a pocket and just say up to last. Okay, so we've got our 3 bodies. Now we've created this plate, the lever arm, the gasket, the holes. The next part is going to be the securing part, and then the rivets, and then the bolt and nut, and we'll be done with that. We can create our assembly.